I handed him $100 for gas. He waited until my back was turned and stole every dollar I had for spring break. He left me stranded, broke, and humiliated. But what he didn't know was that my boyfriend wasn't just rich. He was resourceful. And by the time we were done, that thief's spring break wasn't just ruined. His entire year was about to go up in a cloud of smoke and sand. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you just showed kindness to? That feeling of violation, that anger that simmers in your gut? If you've ever wanted to see a bully get exactly what they deserve, you're gonna love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for a tale of spring break revenge that is as savage as it is satisfying. Let's rewind. It was the late 80s. A time of big hair, mixtapes, and absolutely no cell phones. I was a sophomore in college, head over heels for my boyfriend Carlos. He was an exchange student from South America, charming, funny, and his family. Well, let's just say they had screw-you money. He'd booked this epic spring break trip to South Padre Island with his brother and their friends. The whole package, hotel, bus, the works. But there was a problem. The bus was full. I was heartbroken. I thought I was going to miss out on the week with him. Enter my roommate, Sarah. She found out her boyfriend, Mark, and a few of his fraternity brothers were driving down from Texas in a pickup truck. She asked if I could catch a ride with them. Mark said sure, there was room. I was saved. I was so grateful. I packed my suitcase with my best neon bikinis and off-brand sunscreen, withdrew $300 in cash, which was a fortune to me back then, and folded it neatly into a zippered pocket inside my suitcase. That was my entire week's budget. My freedom. I remember meeting them in the parking lot. For guys, one beat-up Ford pickup. The vibe was mixed. Mark, my roommate's boyfriend, was nice enough. Two of the other guys were friendly, just excited to get to the beach. And then there was the owner of the truck. Let's call him Drew. You could smell the entitlement on him. He had this permanent sneer, like he was doing everyone a colossal favor by existing. Sarah had warned me his nickname in the frat was Drugs. And he lived up to it. He immediately claimed the back seat of the cab, rolled a joint, and checked out for the entire 8-hour drive. So there I was, squeezed into a truck with 4 guys I barely knew, trying to make conversation over the Grateful Dead blasting from the tape deck. I even took a turn driving to be helpful. The whole time, Drew just sat in the back, contributing nothing but a cloud of skunky smoke and condescending comments. We finally arrived. The air was thick with salt and the promise of a good time. Carlos was waiting for me outside the hotel, a huge smile on his face. I was so relieved to be out of that truck. I grabbed my suitcase from the bed of the pickup, dug into my wallet, and pulled out a $100 bill. I handed it to Drew. Thanks for the ride, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you have an awesome week. I said, trying to be the bigger person. He just grunted, snatched the money, and they peeled away. I didn't think about them again. I was in paradise. That night, we were getting ready to hit the clubs. I unzipped my suitcase to get my cash. The zippered pocket was empty. My stomach dropped. I frantically tore through all my clothes, my toiletries, shaking everything out. Nothing. The $300 was gone. Vanished. The world just shrank. That wasn't just money. It was my agency. My ability to buy my own drinks, to get a taxi if I needed to buy a stupid t-shirt. I was completely dependent now. I felt a hot wave of shame and anger. I started to cry, sitting on the edge of the bed in a cheap hotel room. Carlos came over and put his arm around me. Hey, it's okay. Mi amor, don't worry. I've got you. It's not okay. I sobbed. Someone went through my things. They stole from me. And we both knew who it was. It wasn't the nice guys. It was Drew. The guy I'd just given $100 to. The guy whose truck I'd helped drive. The humiliation was worse than the loss. He'd looked me in the eye and taken my money twice. Carlos's face changed. The easygoing smile was gone, replaced by a cold, hard calm. His brother Mateo walked in, saw me crying, and his expression darkened too. In my family, you might call your mom and cry. In their family, I was quickly learning, You handled things differently. He stole from you? Mateo said, his voice low. After you paid him? After you drove his truck? Carlos just looked at me. Don't worry. Your week is not ruined. But we are not forgetting this. The week went on. Carlos was true to his word. He paid for everything, and we had an incredible time. But the theft was like a dark little cloud following me. Every time I reached for my wallet and remembered it was empty, that feeling of violation came rushing back. Then, near the end of the week, we were at a beachfront bar, drinking cheap beer and watching the sunset. And I saw it. That same beat-up Ford pickup truck rumbling into a parking spot down the street. My blood ran cold. Every muscle in my body tensed. Carlos, I whispered, my hand gripping his arm. It's them. I was shaking. I didn't want a confrontation. I didn't want to see Drew's smug face. Carlos looked at the truck, then at my terrified expression. His eyes narrowed. It's okay, he said, his voice calm but with an edge of steel. We will leave. But first, which one is their truck? The blue Ford. I nodded, unable to speak. He exchanged a look with Mateo. A whole conversation happened in that single glance. Wait here, Carlos said. Order another drink. Do not let them see you. The two of them walked out of the bar, not towards the truck, but casually around the back of the building. My heart was hammering against my ribs. What were they doing? My mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. It felt like an eternity. I kept my head down, staring into my soda, praying Drew and his friends wouldn't walk in. Finally, Carlos and Mateo reappeared. They didn't look angry or rushed. They looked satisfied. Calm. Carlos came over, took my hand and said, Okay, Cielo. Let's go. We're done here. We left quickly. I was bursting with questions, but the look on his face told me to wait. The next day, the last day of the trip, Carlos made an announcement. We're not taking the bus home. What? How are we getting back? He just smiled. I booked us flights from Brownsville. A little surprise. I was thrilled. A plane. It felt unbelievably luxurious. As we waited at the tiny airport, watching prop planes taxi on the runway, I finally worked up the courage to ask. Carlos, last night at the bar, what did you and Mateo do? He took a sip of his coffee and looked at me, a slow, dangerous smile spreading across his face. That guy, he said. Drugs. He is fucked. A chill went down my spine. What does that mean? It means, Carlos said, leaning in slightly, that we paid his truck a little visit. And we gave his gas tank something extra to chew on. I stared at him, my mind racing. Extra? Like what? Sand, he said simply. A lot of sand. His engine is going to seize up about an hour after they leave the island. It's not going to be a quick fix. My jaw dropped. I had mixed feelings. It was vicious. It was perfect. The justice of it was so brutal, so poetic. He stole my cash. They destroyed his engine. The scale was magnificent. I got back to campus 2 days later, still buzzing from the trip and the audacity of what had happened. I was unpacking when my roommate Sarah came into our room. She looked confused. Hey, have you seen Mark? He just got back and he is in a seriously bad mood. I played dumb. No, I thought they'd be back days ago. That's the thing, she said, her eyes wide. Their truck completely died like an hour after they left South Padre. It was a total nightmare. I tried to keep my face neutral. Oh my God, really? Yeah. Mark said the engine started making this horrible grinding noise, like it was chewing on rocks, and then it just locked up. Smoke everywhere. They had to get it towed to some sketchy mechanic in the middle of nowhere. I could barely contain my smile. That's awful. It gets worse, she continued, relishing the gossip. The mechanic said the fuel lines were clogged with, like, sediment. They had to replace the fuel pump, flush the whole system. And the engine was so damaged it needed to be completely rebuilt. It took 2 extra days and cost a fortune. Then she delivered the final, beautiful piece of justice. And get this, Drew's dad was apparently furious. He had to wire the money for the repairs. He made Drew take a Greyhound bus home by himself. And when Drew finally got home, his dad made him hand over the keys. His truck privileges were revoked. Indefinitely. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. It was over. The score wasn't just settled, it was engraved in stone. The thief who thought he could steal a girl's spring break had his entire summer ruined instead. The image of him, broke, stranded, and utterly humiliated, sitting alone on a bus while his friends probably never let him hear the end of it. It was better than any apology I could have ever gotten. Sometimes, karma needs a little push. And sometimes, that push comes in the form of two very determined brothers and a handful of sand. He thought he was stealing from some helpless girl. He never expected that she had people in her corner who believed in an old-fashioned rule: you don't just pay someone back. You make sure they can never do it again. If the thought of a stolen spring break being avenged by a seized engine makes you smile, do me a favor, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments what's the most creative payback you've ever heard of. And of course, subscribe for more stories of revenge that are truly groundbreaking.